What's going on, gamers, and welcome into this video. Now, if you're anything like me, you're going to want to know about Diablo 4 Endgame, so you know what to expect and what you can do once you get past that sweet story. Now, if you don't know what Helltides and Whispers of the Dead are, nightmare dungeons, stick around and I'll show you. So the first thing I want to let you know about is our Diablo 4 giveaway. Check out the link in the description below. And while you're down there, don't forget to sub to the channel and like the video. But yeah, for me, I really want Diablo 4 to succeed, and I really want to be able to play for a long time, which means I'm super interested in what this game has to offer at Endgame to keep me grinding. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is world tiers, and this will come as no surprise to most of you. These are different difficulties that you can select, making the game harder, but also increasing the rewards you get as you go along. Now, not all difficulties will be available straight away. You'll have Adventurer and Veteran to start the game with, but then if you want to unlock Nightmare, Hell, and Torment, then you'll have to complete certain things. For example, with Nightmare, it says to complete the Cathedral of Light on Veteran difficulty. All of this is subject to change, obviously, but with Veteran comes champion monsters. Sacred items then have a chance of dropping, so you see the loot goes up with it. Obviously, World Tier 5 is going to be our aim here. Experience goes through the roof, ancestral and unique items can be found, and your non-physical resistances go down, so obviously you're going to be taking a lot more damage. But this is our end game when it comes to World Tiers. From here, guys, something that I'm personally really excited to see is an event that's region-wide that allows you to find these materials called cinders, which if you die, you drop, by the way. But these cinders allow you to open Helltide chests, and as you guessed it, this is the Helltide events. So these are region-wide events that only happen once you have reached Nightmare, which is World Tier 3 difficulty, but are essentially events where Lilith's armies are empowered. You kill them for these cinders and then open these Helltide chests for some really juicy rewards. And yeah, these chests are exclusive to a singular item slot, such as torso, legs, or a two-handed weapon. But as I said, if you die while carrying these cinders, you'll drop them and you'll need to reclaim them, kind of like a Dark Souls game. The next thing I want to talk about is the Tree of Whispers. Now, with this comes objectives, whispers, if you may, that appear on your map, and completing these will give you rewards such as golden experience, but more importantly, grim favors. Now, think of these as like daily quests that you can do. Look on your map, find the objective, complete said objective, and be rewarded. It's another way to add to your progression, but yeah, getting 10 of these grim favors can be exchanged at the Tree of Whispers for a variety of loot and experience. Now, the type of whispers on the map will rotate frequently throughout the day, and each will offer a different set of rewards and experience for completing it. Something that I'm really curious about is down here at the bottom. The franchise general manager stated there will be consequences if contracts with the Tree of Whispers are broken. So I'm interested to see what they are. Now, from the description, this could be taken as being a bit of like a daily quest, which gives it kind of like an MMO feel. I can't say for certain at this point, but I know on Reddit, for example, there have been some concerns, and I'm curious to know what you guys think. So let me know down in the comments below. And remember, while you're down there, in the description, I do stream either here or on my Twitch channel. So I'd love a follow across those. And we've got our community Discord, where we're going to have loads of talks, discussions, as well as like useful links and builds and stuff. So definitely consider joining the Discord. It'll also be a great place to hang out and group up on stream. And so the next thing I want to talk about is the Nightmare Dungeons. Now, this is where the core, in my opinion, of the endgame will play for most people. Now, remember those grim favors I was just talking about from the Tree of Whispers? You can use those to get into these Nightmare Dungeons. Now, inspired by the greater rifts from Diablo 3, Diablo 4's Nightmare Dungeons are like regular dungeons, but with an added challenge when it comes to the difficulty and properties of the dungeon. Now, each Nightmare Sigil corresponds to a specific dungeon, which is quite important. I'll go over that in a second. But the difficulty levels are tied to the Nightmare Sigils and will go up infinitely, which also determines the rarity of the item drops. Now, the dungeon affixes also found on the Nightmare sigils will customize the dungeons by affecting the player, enemies, and or the environment. And for example, that they've got here, all enemies are invisible unless they are in combat, or you can get things like double bosses. Now, these sigils can be obtained by completing missions at the Tree of Whispers. Now, when you complete one of these Nightmare dungeons, you'll also be rewarded with a more powerful Nightmare sigil. And pre-planning and strategizing will play a big role, since you'll be able to know the dungeon you're heading into. That's why I said it was important earlier. So you'll know what monsters you're going to encounter, the difficulty level, and which affixes you are faced with. So yeah, with this, you're able to pre-plan, which is interesting. What do you guys think of this? Let me know down in the comments below. Again, because I do want to talk about this. Is it a good thing that you know what you're going into? You know, are we going to have multiple builds with certain resistances, with certain skills and things, you know, to be able to take these on? Or do you think we're going to end up with, you know, one build is so good on a class that we're able to just do pretty much all of them, or even just all of them? But yeah, really curious what you guys think of this. So let me know. So there's a gameplay loop anyway. Do Tree of Whispers, get the Grim Favors, trade them in to be able to go into the Nightmare dungeons, complete Nightmare dungeons to be able to unlock more difficult Nightmare dungeons, and rinse and repeat. So the next thing to talk about is the Field of Hatred. Now, this again could be a bit of a controversial one for people, depending on whether you like PvP or not, because this is the PvP area. So the Field of Hatred is open world dedicated zones called the Field of Hatred, which you have to opt in to be able to do PvP. In these zones, you'll be able to group up like normal. They can be freely explored even without engaging in PvP, unless you start converting your Seeds of Hatred at the Altar of Extraction, which will flag you for PvP and also alert nearby players. So guys, the objective of the zone is to collect Seeds of Hatred. You can do this by killing players, monsters, by completing events, and opening chests. So yeah, kill things and get seeds, but you've got to be careful though, because while you're flagged for PvP and carrying these, if you die, you'll drop them. So the best thing that you can do is try and convert them into red dust. Now, obviously, you do these at the Altar of Extraction, and when you do it, you become some sort of beacon, like it notifies other players that you're doing it, and you'll get flagged for PvP. So again, you got to be careful. But if you do manage to convert them into red dust, then you can no longer drop that red dust on death, so they're safe. Now, the red dust can be spent at the PvP cosmetic and mount vendors for ornamental rewards. And lastly on this, if you do kill a certain amount of monsters or players and collect the Seeds of Hatred, you will eventually become a Vessel of Hatred, marking you as a threat on the map for other players in a large radius around you. Now, surviving for a set amount of time without leaving the zone will grant you a big bonus, but what that is currently unknown. As far as I'm aware as well, you do get like a big buff with this, but it's not completely confirmed yet. Now, the next thing is world bosses. Now, these look really cool. Massive bosses where the camera zooms out. You can have, I believe, up to 12 players fight them, and you can have party size of 4. So you can have 3 parties fight these. Now, I could be wrong with that, so let me know down in the comments below if I am wrong. But they look amazing. So it's the first time in Diablo franchise where you actually have world bosses like this. Now, this isn't strictly endgame as far as I'm aware. At certain points during the open world, you will run into these fights. Now, from what I know, they last about 15 minutes where you can attempt to kill them. If you don't manage to kill them, you still get a little bit of golden experience, but you won't get any rewards. However, if you do manage to kill them, I can only imagine the rewards are quite juicy. Now, the world bosses also come with a new stagger system. Crowd control effects will not affect the boss directly, but rather fill up a portion of this stagger bar. When it's full, the boss becomes staggered and goes into a weakened state for the remaining fight. For example, one of the world bosses can lose one of their arm weapons once staggered, and if you manage to stagger them again, they'll actually lose the second arm. And this actually lasts for the rest of the fight, so I think it's a really cool mechanic, and I'm really looking forward to it. So obviously something that's not particularly content related, but when you're at Endgame, you're going to be refining your builds, right? You're going to be looking at your skills, using different legendary items, unique items, etc. to be able to get yourself a nice build. But one thing you can do after level 50, you unlock the Paragon board, and this is going to allow you to go even more in depth in a build, unlocking this kind of like checkerboard to get more stats and effects. From here, we have the seasons. The developers have said every 3 months we'll get a new season. And if you know Path of Exile, where they have new mechanics or events, kind of like mini games, etc., that happen with a new season, Diablo 4 directors have said that they're going to be doing that as well. So, a bit of a knockoff for Path of Exile, maybe, but I actually enjoyed it in PoE, so I'm looking forward to bringing it over here and seeing what they do, because it could be really fun. So there you are, boys. That's the main stuff that we're going to be getting at launch. There is other things like gathering that I haven't gone into in this video because I don't want to keep it going too long. But if you made it this far, guys, really appreciate it. Please make sure to smash that thumbs up. Let me know what you thought of the video. Sub, join Discord and Twitch. I know that was a lot, but there's a lot going on. I really appreciate you guys. And until the next one, I hope you at least learned something. And I also hope you have a very nice day. Cheers now.